Judges on The Voice, like as Gwen Stefani and others, give their competitors advice on how to maintain composure under pressure. Unfortunately for Gwen, it appears that she recently disregarded her own advice, which caused her to storm off the stage. What then transpired with this circumstance? As The Voice's Season 26 finale approached, Gwen was hoping her last teammate would win and bring it home. According to a recent insider, Gwen found this season of the reality singing competition to be quite emotional, and she would have loved to end it with a victory. Sydney Sterlace, Gwen Stefani's finalist, had a chance to win this season, but in the end, it went to Team Bubble since Sofronio Vasquez, Michael Bubble's finalist, won the championship this season and brought it home for his coach as well. Gwen Stefani is typically the most professional because of the many decades she has spent creating music and doing live performances. But according to the most recent rumors circulating, the singer of No Doubt made a crucial mistake during her performance with her The Voice contestant. It turns out that Gwen made a cruel error when she performed with her finalist, mispronouncing the song's lyrics. The singer of No Doubt became so enraged that she rushed off the stage. Gwen calmed herself off stage after the incident, then came back and started filming again. If anything, it only serves to highlight the fact that even seasoned pros in the field occasionally make mistakes and mispronounce lyrics. Gwen was reportedly nervous prior to the performance and even significantly leaned on the teleprompter to help her remember the songs. However, Gwen Stefani still made a mistake because she misted things and fumbled over the lyrics, despite having the teleprompter to support her. Fortunately, she was able to get better after leaving the stage and giving herself some time to refocus. It's interesting to note that a recent insider is certain that Gwen Stefani's tenure as a coach on The Voice will end with Season 26. According to the insider, she would like to be able to spend more time with her kids and Blake Shelton. Therefore, it's quite conceivable that this recent mistake was substantially, if not entirely, caused by the idea that this season would be her final one. The Voice has long benefited from high-stakes choices, unfiltered passion, and the unpredictable nature of live television. Coaches weep, participants pass out, the audience gasped. However, very seldom, almost never, does a scene develop in such a startling way that even seasoned viewers are left speechless. That is precisely what happened on a memorable night in 2026, when Gwen Stefani unexpectedly stormed off the stage following a cruel, irreparable mistake, shocking the coaches, the studio, and millions of spectators at home. Another round of performances and another round of difficult eliminations turned into one of the most talked about episodes in The Voice's history. The kind of moment that sparks discussion, empathy, critique, and introspection long after the show concludes, rather than fading away as the credits have rolled. A night that began like any other that night. There was a familiar yet exciting vibe in the studio. Families hugged each other in the crowd, contestants waited anxiously in the wings, and the coaches engaged in lighthearted conversation intended to deflect the burden of the impending decisions. Experienced coach Gwen Stefani, who has been on the program for years, seemed calm and assured. Her emotional commitment to her team had earned her plaudits throughout the season. She had gained the respect of other coaches and the trust of competitors with her calm, supportive, and intimate mentoring manner. The person occupying the red chair was not a rookie. This person had served in the military. That's why the subsequent events were so catastrophic. The performance that revolutionized everything, the controversial candidate gave what many afterward referred to as a career-defining performance. The song selection was risky, emotionally charged, and required a lot of vocal effort. However, it was evident from the first note that something unique was taking place. Gwen's response summed everything up. Her eyes were fixed on the stage as she leaned forward in her chair. She covered her mouth at one point, which is a classic way for a coach to know they're seeing something remarkable. The applause was roaring when the show was over. The other coaches stood as well. At the time, spectators thought the result was clear. They were mistaken. The cruel error, the atmosphere changed when it came time for Gwen to decide. Her expression tensed. She spoke more slowly than usual. She emphasized how difficult the decision felt while praising the two competitors in front of her. She then uttered the name, and everything came to an end. The audience erupted in gasps. She sent home a participant who appeared surprised and blinked quickly, as though they were still processing what they had just heard. The remaining participant looked equally astonished, their hands covering their face in horror. Even the other coaches looked at each other nervously. In a matter of seconds, it became brutally evident that Gwen had erred, not in a technical or strategic way, but in a genuinely emotional decision that she seemed to regret right away. Realization arrives. Live on video correction is impossible on live television. Gwen lost her cool as the dismissed contestant started to say goodbye. Her eyes filled with tears. She shook her head a little as she looked down, as if mentally reliving the incident and acknowledging the irreversibility of what she had done. Viewers were able to witness regret taking hold in real time. Gwen got up suddenly as the competitor finished speaking and left the stage. She gave them a lengthier, more intense hug while saying something inaudible into their ear. Her trembling hand was captured on camera. Gwen then turned and left the stage without waiting for the host to pass or for the show to go to commercial. The time Gwen Stefani abruptly left initially, it appeared to be an accident, possibly a brief rest backstage. However, as the seconds went by, it became evident that this was no ordinary halt. Gwen did not come back right away. The other coaches stood motionless, unsure of how to respond. The tension was evident despite the host's best efforts to keep the show moving. Instantly, social media exploded. Did Gwen just walk off the stage? She appears to be inconsolable. She was devastated by that choice. In a matter of minutes, slow motion, frame-by-frame analysis of the moment's footage started to circulate online. Fans were experiencing it rather than only responding to it. Emotional repercussions. The reason for the exit: Gwen was upset backstage, according to people close to the production. She apparently expressed intense regret and dissatisfaction with herself as she again replayed the choice. This was about disregarding her own instincts, not about losing a formidable competitor. Gwen has never held back when discussing how seriously she takes her coaching responsibilities. She sees these choices as pivotal moments in the lives of actual people rather than as moments on television. It troubled her that she might have changed someone's course in life. The lack of an undo button made the situation even more agonizing. The viewpoint of the contestant, although the ousted competitor handled the situation gracefully, the emotional toll of the experience was made clear in subsequent interviews. Although they were appreciative of the chance and Gwen's guidance, they acknowledged that the removal felt abrupt and unclear. In one interview, the candidate stated, "I could see it in her face. I believe she immediately recognized that it wasn't what she intended to do." The public's response was lessened by that admission, but the grief remained. It became a unique opportunity for fans to witness the painfully obvious power disparity between the coach and the contestant. One choice, just one name. Everything was different. Fan reaction. Criticism versus sympathy. Fan reaction split drastically, as was to be expected. Some vehemently supported Gwen, lauding her humanity and vulnerability. It's not a flaw that she cared too much. This demonstrates that she is human and not a robot. A coach who cares deeply is preferable to one who doesn't. Some were not as understanding. This is the work. At this level, the stakes are not affordable. It was unprofessional to leave the stage. For days, the argument raged, with fan forums analyzing every angle and hashtags trending. Was Gwen's response an indication of emotional stability or maturity? Was the storm-off a genuine reaction, or did it violate professional standards? As usual, the truth was somewhere in the middle. A profession based on feelings. You must comprehend Gwen Stefani in order to comprehend why this moment struck so deeply. Emotional honesty has been the driving force behind her entire career. Gwen has never concealed her emotions behind gloss, whether it is through personal reinvention or heartache choruses. She was an incredibly captivating artist and coach because of her genuineness. Emotion, however, is reciprocal. Emotional depth becomes both a strength and a liability on The Voice, as snap decisions may change people's lives. How narrow that border can be was made clear that night in 2026. The program Reacts. The Voice producers supported Gwen in the days after the episode, highlighting the show's human component. One producer said, "This is a live competition with real people and real emotions." What transpired was honest, but it was also painful. The choice to broadcast the sequence uncut on the show provoked more debate. The transparency was commended by some. Others questioned whether the competitor and Gwen should have been protected by softening the situation. One thing was evident though. The show had no intention of acting as though it never happened. Gwen speaks up when Gwen eventually spoke up about the incident. Her remarks were thoughtful, poignant, and restrained. She said, "I made a decision that didn't align with my heart." And it was overwhelming to realize that in real time. The implication was obvious, but she refrained from calling it a mistake. These artists are really important to me. I was reminded of the weight of this responsibility that evening. The statement reframed the issue as one of accountability rather than avoidance, but it did little to quell discussion. A transition rather than a failure. Gwen did not quit The Voice, despite early rumors to the contrary. According to people close to her, the experience actually changed the way she tackled the remainder of the season. She started to think more carefully, more outspoken about her reservations, more open and honest with her staff. The error seemed to strengthen her presence rather than diminish it. Viewers saw a change, a recalibration rather than a loss of confidence. Gwen further emphasized mentoring by providing direction beyond performances and emphasizing long-term development over short-term success. Why people will remember this moment. Dramatic exits abound on reality TV, but few have this emotional impact. Gwen Stefani didn't leave the stage in a fit of rage or pride. When she discovered, too late, that she had harmed someone she cared about, she left. That difference is important. This moment felt agonizingly genuine at a time when reality TV frequently seems staged, unplanned, uncomfortable, human. And for that reason, it will last. The Mistakes legacy fans won't recall all of The Voice's winners in years. However, they will recall the night Gwen Stefani got up, realized she had made a terrible error, and was unable to continue performing. It was sincere, not because it was scandalous. The Voice changed from being merely a contest to something more delicate in that instant. A reminder that even the most seasoned mentors are fallible human beings who are susceptible to mistakes. Maybe that's the true lesson of the night. Gwen Stefani stormed off stage, not because she didn't succeed, but that she was so overcome by the weight of her decision that she broke under it.